big push project our President Mahama erebe to ja or chese obeba be ye na chese Ghana ye kwan nso aba be ye kra be hwe no abusua NPP for emuni ya kum na NPP for asset agenda be on this big pusher or more a make press conference on a big push project ya eba be koso na time our President Mahama chre de wa ya kwan no ebesi bia no mo yenko na yenko nkotimbra ye ba ye de aka beto amso
is the first. But we're going to cut short in 5 different areas to mark the start of the whole Big Push program. And so today, the people of Afenya, Dawenya, Dodoa, you are making history by being first to kick off the whole Big Push program. We've gone through a very rigorous procedure to choose the contractors who will work on the Big Push projects. And that is because we believe that quality and speed is important. And so we've gone through all the contractors. We've looked at their capacity. Does he have an asphalt plant? How many asphalt plants does he have? Does he have enough dump trucks to be able to move the gravel? Does he have enough graders to spread it? Does he have enough rollers to compact the road? The quality of a road depends on compaction. If you compact it well and you put the bitumen on it, the road will last forever. But in some cases, contractors are in a hurry, so they just compact the sub-base loosely and then they put the quota on it. In a few months, when heavy trucks pass on it, before you see the road is failing, is sinking. We don't want that in the Big Push. So, majority of the contractors selected for the Big Push are Ghanaian contractors, because we believe that we must build the capacity of our own contractors. We believe in the performance and ingenuity of the Ghanaian contractor. And so several of our contractors have the same capacity as any foreign contractor. And so that is how we have selected them. There are a few wheelbarrow contractors who have come to me. Oh, I hear they're distributing projects under the Big Push. I want one. I said, my friend, this is not for wheelbarrow contractors. You are my friend, but I won't give you because it's not for wheelbarrow contractors. And so
President Mahama and I attending a big push project no or no or a big push project no the war contractors no ebisbi ayekwan away and a NPP for minority or makwa press conference no a whole statement and I just say a project at the Addo screen no and chain at the amamano minority in parliament demands immediate disclosure of all big push contracts. Abusuya NPP minority or mocha contractor President Mahama koso big push contract no abusuya emu enda hosa into no omono omu here transparency yes a President Mahama omo wa all the omo contract na abusuya onfa omu nyina din embra mbambetudwa ende omo de mpe bia omo de President Mahama embra any road minister embra normal accountability transparency and course big push project no idea ebe cost or mine year according to NPP minority into President Mahama omo de contract na no NPP minority for no extra there is some sole sourcing contract bia cost as sole sources contract no emu enda ho into omo person omo chese omo bie Ghana for any on big push project na cost no because sole sourcing contract na cost no bibia o abusuya Mommy Yankona, Yankonkotie, NPP minority, and Sama Omadi Tuja, a far big push project, no, and a call or more call for a year transparency, and ye asam Ketwakra. Now, ye buy the Yaka, ever to unsubscribe, ya subscribe, now hit it on the notification bell, and any updates be ever dropping on so on sa a bit to me, Aka, Bedamase.
Now, the minority, as a matter of urgency, is demanding full details of all contracts awarded under the Big Push project. The side argues that the details must include names of contractors, cost and scope of the said contract. This follows revelation by the fourth estate that none of the 107 road contracts awarded over the past 7 months by the Roads and Highways Ministry under the Big Push agenda were done through competitive tendering, contrary to a pledge by the NDC government to minimize sole source contracts. Ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Kennedy Osenyako, addressed the media on the issue.
The Big Push program is in principle a commendable initiative if adequately resourced and efficiently implemented. The project under this flagship program of the NDC government have the potential to significantly improve connectivity and open up key economic corridors across the country. As such, we on the minority side are not opposed to the policy itself. Our concern, however, lies with the process through which the initial 50 projects have been awarded, particularly given that these projects are expected to cost the taxpayers approximately 50 billion, as indicated by the President in his 2026 SONA. In this regard, we strongly believe that government must, as a matter of urgency, should publish the full details of this contract. This should include the identities of the contractors, the specific scope of work assigned to each contractor, and the unit cost per kilometer. This will give Ghanaians the opportunity to independently assess the policy and promote transparency in infrastructure delivery. It is important to record that these are issues that the current government spoke vehemently about whilst in opposition. There is therefore a legitimate expectation that once in government, higher standards of policy transparency will be upheld. Unfortunately, the current approach appears to mirror the very practice that were previously criticized. This does not bode well for governance and undermine public trust. Transparency remains a cornerstone of good governance. Where processes are open and information is accessible, public confidence is strengthened and unnecessary suspicion is avoided. However, when Ghanaians perceive the decisions have been taken in secrecy and things were done quietly out of public eyes, it inevitably breeds suspicion, and even in situations where no wrongdoing may have occurred, because of the lack of openness, creates room for doubt and speculation. We on the minority side are well aware of the average and the highest cost of constructing a kilometer of bitumen surfacing road. Similarly, we are knowledgeable about the cost range for asphaltic overlays. Depending on the thickness and the design specification, the scope of work, the same applies to dual carriageways, where both the average and upper bound costs are clearly known to us. Establish benchmarks within the road construction sector provide a useful reference. For instance, the cost of a kilometer of bitumen surface road typically ranges between $400,000 and $650,000. Surface dressing road generally costs between $600,000 to $800,000 per kilometer. Similarly, single carriage asphaltic overlays cost between $1.2 million and $1.8 million per kilometer, depending on the thickness and the extent of overlay to be applied on the existing surface. Why dual carriageway asphaltic overlay roads cost between 2.5 and 4 million per kilometer, depending on the topography of the road and the other ancillary works. These ranges represent generally accepted benchmark costs within the sector, irrespective of the variations in land topography, project conditions, or design specification.
So that's the minority, big on transparency. But let's take you back to when the president launched one of the first of the Big Push project. He made a specific declaration about the mode and manner in which contractors were going to be handpicked. Let's take a listen to the president during the launch of the first Big Push project in the capital here, Accra.
Sword cutting is the first, but we're going to cut sword in 5 different areas to mark the start of the whole Big Push program. And so today, the people of Afenya, Dawenya, Dodoa, you are making history by being first to kick off the whole Big Push program. We've gone through a very rigorous procedure to choose the contractors who will work on the Big Push projects. And that is because we believe that quality and speed is important. And so we've gone through all the contractors. We've looked at their capacity. Does he have an asphalt plant? How many asphalt plants does he have? Does he have enough dump trucks to be able to move the gravel? Does he have enough graders to spread it? Does he have enough rollers to compact the road? The quality of a road depends on compaction. If you compact it well and you put the bitumen on it, the road will last forever. But in some cases, contractors are in a hurry, so they just compact the sub-base loosely and then they put the quota on it. In a few months, when heavy trucks pass on it, before you see the road is failing, is sinking. We don't want that in the Big Push. So, majority of the contractors selected for the Big Push are Ghanaian contractors, because we believe that we must build the capacity of our own contractors. We believe in the performance and ingenuity of the Ghanaian contractor. And so several of our contractors have the same capacity as any foreign contractor. And so that is how we have selected them. There are a few wheelbarrow contractors who have come to me. Oh, I hear they're distributing projects under the Big Push. I want one. I said, my friend, this is not for wheelbarrow contractors. You are my friend, but I won't give you because it's not for wheelbarrow contractors. And so
that's the president detailing the reasoning. And if you listen to him at that initial launch, he makes the point that they've been careful in selecting contractors who will be handling the Big Push projects because they are looking for local participation and ensuring that persons who will be handed these projects are Ghanaian owned and have a certain level of expertise to ensure that the road project lasts. But as to whether or not that suffices in terms of matters of transparency is one of the many questions that are being asked, which this latest publication has sought to bring to the fore, as well as the minority in demanding that details be made public. But I want to take you to the board right now because the National Communications Office of the NDC as well, Sami Jemfi, has been reacting even ahead of the minorities press conference in relation to this publication. And he makes a number of points, some of which have been mentioned, some of which we're yet to get into. And I want to walk you through what he's been saying. And so he makes the argument that, look, resorting to national competitive tendering process would have taken months before the project would commence, delaying the completion of most of the project beyond 2028. So he's making an argument of speed in this instance. What again is he saying? That Section 40 of the PPA law provides for single source procurement on grounds of urgency. And that's the first point he makes, that sole sourcing is lawful. The argument really is nobody said it's unlawful. The unjustified use and abuse of sole sourcing is what President Mahama and the NDC have condemned. Now, he goes on to say that all projects that were awarded through sole sourcing received prior PPA approval, as same was justified on grounds of urgency, and value for money audits were conducted. The contracts were not awarded to a select few, but rather carefully selected. And this is in tandem with what the president, who we're listening to, said, that multiple competent and experienced contractors with demonstrable capacity to complete the works on time, again, urgency and not going beyond the 2028 timeline is the argument that's been made. Now, if you read further, the argument he makes, he says that there's been no evidence brought forth as to inflation of these contract sums. But again, it brings us back to the question as to whether these justifications and what we've heard from the president, what we're reading as well from the National Communications Officer of the NDC, and as well as the CEO of Gold Board, answers these concerns. We also know in relation to this that the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Govins Agboja, is expected to address the House, to be specific, on these concerns that have been raised, most notably as well this publication by the Fourth Estate, which is raising all of these questions, because during all of the campaign period, the NDC was very frontal in asking questions as to the use of single source, sole source for road contract, particularly cocoa road contracts, which had been inflated and also was backed by work done by the Auditor General. We're yet to see the Auditor General's work in relation to the big push. The arguments the NDC is making now is that, look, these contracts have undergone value for money audits and there is no Auditor General report which is making the case that these contracts are inflated. What will be the explanation as well from the Roads and Highways Minister when he makes his way to Parliament? We will be on standby to bring you those details. But right now, let's bring you some other stories.
Okay, abusuya we ne ensema ekoso e political highway so eye NPP minority press conference omede betu dwa ene eye demand a omo demand eye road minister se ombra na ombe nemu contractors omode contract no emomo eno honsem na ye de ebrem. There is much interesting moment ahead. Abusuya e beda masese moje pene kokoti ensem we edemai aha gossip politics TV so beda masese.